Guys, it's Jerry coming to you from Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica on another nice day. It's the first overcast day we've ever done, I think, when we're broadcasting this. But it's still a beautiful day. It's been a very dry season, so what little water comes is super welcome to us. What is Rythmia? Rythmia is a life advancement center that uses sacred plant medicine, metaphysical teachings, great food, meditation, yoga, breath work, and combines it all into this crazy week. And the week is amazing. People come from all over the world, from all walks of life, to come and to have this soul reclamation or soul merger. What makes Rythmia special? 97.77% of everybody who's ever walked through the door has reported electronically a life-changing miracle during their stay. 977 out of every 1,000 people. We say, how many people have been through here? Over 14,000. And 2,300 TripAdvisor reviews. We're a top 10 resort on TripAdvisor. Over 14,000 guests through the door. An amazing experience. Who's been here? Well, just on our board of directors, we have Cesar Millan, Kelly Slater, Martin Luther King, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Tony Coe from NYX Cosmetics, our Earl Koski. Our board of directors is a who's who of super cool people. People that have been to this place. So many actors, actresses, sports people, business leaders, normal folks like you and me come here and have this miracle and walk away and become a beneficial presence on the planet. They do. What is my little story? In a nutshell, I had been a very lucky guy. I had a very hard young life, and I didn't graduate high school, but I became a millionaire in my 20s from businesses that I started. And in my 40s, I sold a company for about 90 million, and I quit working. My life imploded and exploded. It was a terrible life. I was a drug addict, a drunk, a womanizer, a super unhappy guy. And right prior to my taking my life for the final time, I did plant medicine, and it had an immediate effect on my life. I had the soul merger that so many of the other people that have been here report having. And then I decided to try to become a beneficial presence on the planet. And over the course of the last 8 years, my life has taken a different turn, and it's currently all about service and about perfecting this experience at the Rythmia Life Advancement Center. Some things that I learned for those people that follow us. One thing I wanted to make one announcement. Next week, I think is Cesar Millan. Is Cesar Millan here? Is that next week?
Let me check.
I think it's either Majesty or Cesar Millan next week. Anyway, next week, and for all of the weeks going forward, this particular talk is not going to happen at 11 Costa Rican time. It's going to happen at 11:30 Costa Rican time. So we want to make sure that you're out and watching this. So let's talk about becoming a beneficial presence. Becoming a beneficial presence is when we decide, in spite of our own personal shortcomings, that we want to make a difference to the planet. And how can we do that? We can do that by becoming a better son, a better daughter, a better mother, a better father, a better sister, a better brother, a better cousin, a better family member, a better community member, a better member of our business teams, a better member of the society at large. We can build things that help the people who it touches. And we do that by committing to this particular way of becoming a beneficial presence, and it's different for each of us. Now, it changes once you have a soul merger, because in a soul merger, we're picking that thing from a merged part of ourself. So what does that look like if we don't? If we pick the thing from a fragmented part of ourself, if we want to start this business so that we have a nicer car than our neighbors, so that we can have an easier life, we won't stick with it, because I have to tell you something. It is a long and hard process. And today, what I want to talk about is the reality of doing it, and why basically 0.2% of the population actually ever succeed at that. And when I use 0.2, that's 2 out of 1,000. People talk about the 1%ers, and the 1%ers have succeeded at it in a way, but the 0.2%ers are the uber successful, the people that really, really, really have done it. But even if we use the 1 out of 100, that's great. So let's tell the truth about what that kind of embarkation to becoming a beneficial presence looks like. The fact of the matter that the decision has to be grounded in wholeness. When you decide to open up a restaurant that's going to be a healing restaurant, that's going to be a sanctuary for people to come and eat, or whatever your particular healing thing is, whether it's becoming a better mother, a better father, a better husband, a better wife, a better whatever. When we decide that's what we're going to be, I'm going to be the best father who ever lived, or the best. When we decide how we're going to touch the world, that then requires a huge commitment on our part, because very few people actually get there. Why? Because it's hard. It really is terribly, terribly, terribly hard. Now, there's lots of people selling courses and things that say, here, do it this way. It's an easy way. And that is a very simple way to get ripped off. It's a hard way. No matter what way you go, it's a hard way, but you get to pick your hard. So sitting on the couch and doing nothing over time is a super hard decision. Getting off the couch and going to work out and keeping a promise with yourself is super hard decision. But you get to pick your hard. Which one do you want? You're constantly at choice. You are at choice. Now, when we're in, as my friend Michael Bernard Beckwith says from the Agape Spiritual Center, a lot of us are in victim consciousness, that this is happening to me. But it's not. You are always at cause. Something happens to you, you are at cause of how you react and respond. But most of this we create ourselves. So when you decide, I'm going to tell you some things that you should absolutely know. When I decide to become a beneficial presence on the planet, to obtain mastery, so that can have the greatest amount of payoff in energy to myself and those whom it affects, is going to take 10 years. 10 years, yes. Why is it 0.2%? Why is it 2 out of 1,000? Because most people quit along the way, and it is hardest in the first 3 years. The second is it's next hardest in the first 5 years. It's the next easiest in the first 8 years, and then it gets easy in the 8 to 10 and beyond 10. If you look at all great companies, they started to get great around the 10-year mark. If you look at great athletes, they start to get super great around the 10-year mark. It actually is an equation of ours. If you look at great pilots, great musicians, that's how it happens. Now, it's going to take longer than you ever imagined, and it's going to be harder than you've ever imagined. It's going to pay off more than you can ever conceive. It's going to have this huge payoff. And what becomes the next most important thing? That you keep your agreements with yourself so that you can enjoy the journey and the payoff. You have to keep the agreements with yourself, and they are not done through motivation, because there is nobody who can stay motivated 365 days a year to go to the gym excited 365 days a year. There is nobody that can start a business and attend to it for 3,560 days out of motivation. You can only do it out of agreement. And you can only do it out of an agreement and honoring that agreement with yourself. Now, if this thing that you picked is not picked from a whole part of you, a place in you that's whole, at some point between now and the first 3 years, you're going to give up and try something different. If you notice, people that have the highest regrets in their 60s are people that didn't stick with things. They didn't. They never experienced what I call mastery. And what a joy it is to be an earthling, a being of this earthly domain, and to have mastery over a craft or business or skill that you've acquired. What a great feeling. It's a feeling everybody should have at least once in their life, because it's the most fulfilling feeling. Now, there are pleasure seekers who in this process, in this 10-year process, are going to try to seek pleasure and this beneficial presence, and you can't do it, because pleasure seekers are always going to do the thing that their body is telling them to do, and that is the thing that is more closely akin to pleasure. Going the other route is where you will find fulfillment. Fulfillment, doing the hard thing, agreeing to do it, and never giving up. That is where all the fruit, all the juice, all of the long-term joy is, in this agreement and commitment to do the hard thing that pays the huge long-term dividends, right? So I don't care what your endeavor is. If you can't get past the seeking of pleasure or comfort, you're not going to be able to get there. You can lead a life of pleasure for a particular time. So if every day, let's say my joy, which one of my joys is eating pancakes, right? Well, if I want to give myself that joy every day, because I don't think I could ever get sick of pancakes. If I wanted to give myself that joy of eating hot pancakes with butter and syrup, I would be 265 pounds in about 3 years, and I would have major health issues and da-da-da-da. So yes, I could do it. And the thing is, I heard the most beautiful thing the other day. It's I could sneak doing it and nobody would know, but I would know. And then those eating of those pancakes all the time wouldn't be pleasurable. It would be pain, because I would know what's coming. If I can only have short-term sexual relations with a bunch of people, I can have short-term pleasure, but I can't have a lasting, deep connection with someone for the long run, right? So a lot of this is counterintuitive. And I hear a lot of the spiritual folks of the time, of this time that we're in, which will be later called, as the years go past, the time of entitlement. I hear them say, listen to your body and do what your body says. I happen to have a friend I have friends who are pro athletes. I have one friend who's the greatest surfer of all time. And I guarantee you that he doesn't take days off. He practices when his body tells him to give up. This is how to do it. This is how to become great. If you just listen to your body, you're going to eat pancakes if you happen to like them. You're going to stay in bed all day. You're going to do that. So what I'm saying is that the easy thing is always the hard thing. It is so easy to give in to our 3-year-old. It's so easy to give in to our 5-year-old, our 8-year-old, our 12-year-old, and our 20-year-old. Is that the best thing in either of our interests? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So just like in child rearing, giving birth to this becoming a beneficial presence requires consistency and discipline. It is they wrote a book that calls it grit. Grit. I love the word grit because it's a word that I identify with, because it's such a harsh word. You have to have grit. I can hear someone saying it in an old-timey Western movie accent, like True Grit. It's important stuff. If you can't have grit, and if you're constantly looking for an easier way out, you're not going to get there. You're not going to get there. So all of our resources are plentiful except time. What do I mean by time? And here's the scarier part. So I'm going to tell you, this is lessons from the medicine, right? So time. Time is the body's experience of the passage of days, weeks, months, years. The body's experience. Now, what would be great if you wasted this opportunity, this 400 trillion to one shot, that sperm, that egg getting together and making you? If you blow it, it would be great if we died and our spirit was done over forever and it wouldn't have regret. But I want to tell you, one of the first things that people who do plant medicine realize, and they realize it the moment that this energy, their consciousness, leaves their body, and they can look and see their body and see their consciousness, and their consciousness goes on this ride, that they realize that it's not over then, and that it's never over. Then all of a sudden, there's a place called the retching place. So in medicine summaries or medicine stories or medicine reviews, you talk to enough people, I happen to have 14,000 of them that went through here, you'll see recurring stories. And there is a place called the retching place. It's a place, I would say it's more akin to a plane than a place. And it's a place where the soul goes. And man, you want to talk about a very strange place. It's not a brimstone and hellfire kind of place. It's a place of the darkest sadness, the darkest sadness. And in this place, people go through this self-regret after a life review where they judge themselves and they grow through this self-regret. That is a real thing. How can we avoid it? Real simply, by giving it 100% while we're here. What does that mean? That means that deciding to become a beneficial presence in some way to our family, our community, our job, our church, or whoever we want to however we invest, by being a musician, by being an artist, by being a painter, by being a nurse, whatever, that we provide healing and comfort to the people who we're directly in contact with. That is what becoming a beneficial presence is. And if we do that with 100% dedication, with 100% dedication, not when we're ready now. If you wait till when you're ready, you'll go to the retching place. That's the easiest way to get tomorrowisms. I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it, and you'll never start. Because you're never going to be ready for this journey to becoming a beneficial presence on the planet. But it is the only game in town. It's the only game in town. Nobody gets out of this alive, not one of us. The body dies, and this is the only way to get a super rich experience of life. It's the only way to get a super rich experience of life. So in this becoming a beneficial presence, in this choice that you make, and it is a choice. It's a choice just like everything else. It's a choice. A lot of you have already made it. The way to make it is to realize it's going to be 10 years. Realize it's going to be harder than anything you've ever imagined. Realize it's going to have benefits that you can't even count. So the riches that it's going to give, not only monetarily, energetically, but all of the riches are the richness of life during the journey that it's going to give are priceless and irreplaceable. This is the richness of it. And it is a duty. It is a calling. It is a commitment. It's a giving of your sustenance to enter this wonderful way of being. A lot of you have already made it. The easiest way to make it is to be both feet in. If you make it and you're constantly questioning your decision, it's going to be a painful trip. But when you make it and you agree that I'm going to die or I'm going to get there, and that's what kind of commitment it takes, you're going to feel this richness. And then at some point in those first 3 years, probably in year 4, the energy that you're sending to the universe, the definiteness of purpose that you're putting out in the universe is going to start responding to and start helping you to get where you have to go. And that is the truth. So that's my little 22 minutes of the day. I'm so glad you joined me. I hope if you were having any doubts about where you're going today, this reignites you back to your commitment to yourself, and that you continue on the journey as a fellow traveler in this endeavor to become a beneficial presence. God bless you, God keep you, God hold you, and we will talk to you next week.